in an attempt to fix one problem, namely raising revenue to fund transportation, Virginia lawmakers have created several more problems. So much so that the new transportation package has Virginia heading toward a destination unknown. I'd like to share 3 points about what this all means. First, the new package shifts responsibility for funding transportation away from drivers. Most of the new revenue will come from activities unrelated to driving, significantly shifting responsibility for funding transportation away from those who use our roads the most. The transportation law contains both statewide and regional new taxes. Statewide, less than 10% of the new tax revenue is from driving-related sources, such as the gas tax. In Northern Virginia, the new regional taxes in the package come entirely from sources unrelated to driving. In Hampton Roads, 64% of the new taxes there come from sources unrelated to driving. Second, low and middle income Virginians will now pay more to fund transportation than the wealthy in our state. That's because the new transportation funding package is made up of a set of regressive sales and excise tax increases that are not levied based on people's ability to pay. Low and middle income people spend a greater share of their incomes buying the basic necessities of life that will now be subject to these higher taxes. So they will end up paying a larger share of their incomes for these new taxes than wealthier people. Let's look at the numbers. People earning less than $21,000 a year will pay 3 to 6 times more of their income in new taxes than people who earn close to $500,000 a year. In Northern Virginia and Hampton Roads, low-income households will pay between 5 and 8 times more of their income than the wealthy. The medium income household in Virginia, folks earning about $51,000 a year, will pay roughly $80 more a year in new taxes from this transportation package. And for households in Northern Virginia or Hampton Roads, this sum rises to over $150 a year. Third, Virginia lawmakers have placed a big bet on Congress in this new law. The package relies on booking revenue that the state would get if Congress allows Virginia to require online merchants to collect sales taxes on purchases made by Virginians over the internet. That's a big if. And should Congress balk at doing that, over $400 million of funding in the package disappears. That's because the backstop measure that Virginia lawmakers put into the legislation that would increase the wholesale tax on gas if Congress fails to act does not fully cover what is lost in the package by a lack of a new online sales tax collection requirement. And on top of that, if online sales legislation doesn't pass, the diversion of sales tax revenue from the general fund over to the transportation fund gets capped at 2015 levels. So, all in all, a lot less money for transportation. Finally, there are other problems with the package too. The new gas tax brings in less money than the old one. And there's no guarantee that Virginia schools will receive much new help despite the tiny amount of newly dedicated funding for education that was included in the legislation. The bottom line is that the debate over how we fund transportation in Virginia is not done yet. Lawmakers will need to fix this new patchwork package to provide some targeted tax relief to low and middle income folks in our state. They'll need to be ready to address the problems that may come from funding so much of our transportation needs from non-drivers. And they'll need to be ready to address the problems that may come from waiting on Congress to act and structuring close to half of the funding in the package through regional taxes. I'm Michael Cassidy from the Commonwealth Institute.